Oh dear, I can't even spell today. That's okay. Yo, 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 it's your boy Yoshikidneo, and we're back in the world of Boridil, and we are playing the adventures in Boridil today. So currently the party is within the Twisted Wood, and what has happened since they started this campaign is they came across a pixie. The pixie requested their help. They went to go and help, but she was kind of a evil pixie. And what I'm kind of getting at is that the Twisted Wood right now, it's full of different fae and stuff like that. Not all fae are good aligned, not by any means, shape, or form. But the Twisted Wood was where I transported them to Barovia, which is a very dark, gritty, evil place, essentially. And so what I've kind of come up with is the theme of they may be out of Barovia physically, but there's still essence of Barovia spilling out since they didn't finish the Curse of Strahd since we came. So essentially, what's going to be happening is they're going to be adventuring in the Twisted Wood for a while. Uh, Today, I'm hoping they either fight some big demon creature thingy that I've created or that I've gotten stats for, or they fight some more of the Titanian soldiers and stuff like that. But we'll see how it all goes. Time will tell.
All right. Cool. So I do all kinds of embiggen.
And Kevin, I'll try and be a little more tanky too. I don't
A
have that
tanky
much
rogue.
health, but I do have uncanny dodge,
Honestly,
so
I mean,
I can
you could
take
just
a hit or two.
honestly you could just do what you do because like I'm pretty reliant on like
I have
telling people to help
47
me out.
health. I have more
Right,
health
right,
than you do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And my
is
AC
that
16, which I think
that
is probably even
abysmal
higher than yours.
constitution?
Yeah, I just need to have someone like near me at all times because like whenever if I get a successful grab, um, my tag team special ability, like I need
Well,
someone to help me with that.
yeah, I'm probably gonna be up with you majority of fights because I'll get sneak attack if definitely and advantage if you're grappling.
Right.
Hey, Brad, do you want to look at my the spell I just put in? Make sure I did it all right.
Yeah, I can do that real quick, and then we'll do some recap, and then we will begin. Let's see, lightning charged. Let's see, when you cast it, what happens? Level 2, blah blah blah. You channel some stuff, do a thing. Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. So, a nifty little trick for anybody that cares. Whenever you have something like if you look at his spell that he just put in and it says like deal 1d6, you can put double brackets around it. And when I say double brackets, I mean those. And then you have to close them, of course. But you put double brackets around it. And then when you do the spell again, it will actually roll whatever was within whatever dice formula is within those brackets. So, for instance, I put double brackets around the 1d6, so it rolled a 1d6 and gave him a 2. That way, when we're reading the spell and see what it does, we also know the damage it does instead of having to pull out my dice roller and stuff like this.
That's sweet.
Okay.
So is that not rolled each time that either he attacks something or he's grappled or
Yeah,
grapples something?
anytime he uses it, boom, it'll roll it again. It just so happened to roll 2 a second time. Let's see if it. There it goes. 5. I took one of your good rolls for damage.
Oh.
Let me even read what it does. Every time into a creature, the energy is harmless to the creature, but he escapes and dangers burst to other. Every time that creature. Okay, so you chant. Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I figure I'll put that on like Save Wolf, and then when he runs up to grapple things or something like that, then it's a little bit extra damage there.
amplify. And then I
Or
get
struck by
additional-
another creature with melee attack, or ends their turn while grappling or being grappled by another, they deal 5 damage. Once the spell has discharged 6 times, aka it's procced 6 different times, it deals a butt ton of damage and the spell ends. That's sick, dude.
Dude, that's
And what
such a
I'm-
good combo with
Yeah, with Saberwolf.
Saberwolf.
Yeah, on top of that, I get advantage on like flurry of blows if I have them grappled too.
Yeah. So what we'll end up doing, Swath, is if when you use the spell, whenever it gets discharged or something, I'll just pop in the dice roller since it is a simple dice, and you'll just click the d6 for the damage it does. That way we don't have to keep getting this wall of text every time we do it. But
That's
yeah.
kind of what I would do.
But yeah, so just anytime you've got like the spell card out like that, so that's a spell card whenever you do it. If it's an attack like the Burning Hands, it should just do. Oh, did it? There it goes. It should. So that is a spell attack. So if you, oh dear, I think Roll20's lagging or some shit like that. Thanks, Jed, my dude. Jed's the truth. He hosts me literally every time I start. We're on our way, guys. Critical Role ain't got nothing on us. Also kidding. I didn't mean to press that again. I'm sorry. But yeah, you set it up right. All right. So let's bring it in. Round table discussion. Kidding. No round table. I'm just going to tell you what happened. Take a sip of my beer. Actually, Gerald, are you there? Just unmute and mute yourself if you are. Alright, good talk. So, the last time we left our adventuring party, you guys were camping out inside... Oh, okay, cool. You guys were camping out in a, what's it called? A cave that was next to a lake as you guys were heading eastward through the Twisted Wood looking for... I'm assuming a way out. Maybe you were looking for some purpose. I honestly don't know. As you guys were camping, when you were coming to rise up for the next day, your good pal Snoopy ended up hearing the brush and the twigs and stuff that were inside of this cave start to move. So obviously he went to investigate. And inside... of all this brush, he saw this sort of little winged creature, which Snoopy's never seen anything like this before, so he doesn't know what it is. As players, you all know this is a young dragon, or a wormling, rather. A dragon wormling of the forest variety. So Snoopy starts playing with it. Saberwolf comes into the cave to figure out what the hell's going on with all this commotion. And sees this thing and it's like, oh shit. So he tries to pick up the beast and it doesn't really take too kindly to that. And it gets a little scared of what's going on as everyone's starting to wake up, so it starts to fly out of the cave. Which, as it does, these water-like tendrils reach out from the lake and essentially grapple and restrain the creature and try to submerge it into the lake. You guys spring into action, going to try to save this creature, as you know you don't want it to die. There's no reason for that. Y'all were just hanging out in its home. And while trying to free the creature, your good friend, the pixie, whose name is Essie. Essie the pixie rolled in with some big-ass green ogre. Intent on destroying you guys, and she was almost successful, honestly. Like, that ogre was dealing a massive amount of damage, especially to Vikavor, who took one hit and almost died. He took one hit, and that man, like, lost all types of breath, and fell down, did a nice tumble roll. But you guys came out victorious. And after killing the pixie, the tendrils released your friend that was in the water, Donovan, and you ended up seeing these sort of like small frog-like creatures, and they sort of popped out of the lake and on little geysers as their like little platform, and they spoke to you saying that they were apologetic. They didn't mean to attack you guys, or they didn't want to either. They were under some sort of spell that the pixie had put under them the night before to cause them to lash out at you guys. But now Essie is dead. You guys pulled the wishbone, and I believe Saberwolf got the bigger half. Did you ever make your wish?
I did
it.
not.
Yeah, go ahead and make a wish right now.
I wish that I could take more of a beating
Okay,
and have more health.
cool. It doesn't do anything after you wish. You don't feel any different. You actually feel like shit because you just got your ass whooped. So, take with it what you will. You guys ended up meeting though after the fight. Cratio, a old elven druid-looking gentleman who had come up to congratulate you guys on your victory against Essie the Pixie. And he started to tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the world from what he's heard the trees tell him. And he had transformed into a larger version of the little dragon that you guys had saved, and told you guys he would take you to a location that should help you get your bearing on where you're at. During that flight, a lot of role play. He asked you guys a lot of questions, mostly character development things, since I haven't gotten any official backstories from anybody yet. So, hint, hint, wink, wink. I want them. And right as he's finishing listening to you guys, that's where we will begin our session. You guys are currently in the air, flying on this dragon. As you're looking around, you just see the treetops. You see birds fluttering every now and then. It's almost, as far as your eyes can see, forest. Like, you can't see beyond that. You don't see the edge of the forest at all. You don't see the mountains in the distance. Like, this forest is huge. You're coming to realize. So with that, we will begin our session as you guys are on the back of Cratio, and he's flying. Well, we should be there in a matter of minutes or so. Have you all come to a conclusion yet on whether you care to help the denizens of the Twisted Wood with the ongoing invasion of the Titanian army?
I must say, I'm a little interested, but my main priority right now is finding a nearby town and resting for a bit before we actually worry about such matters. It's not like they're after us at the moment. Is that right?
That is correct, I would assume. I remember hearing about your exploits with them. I was not aware that they were looking for you, but rather looking for refugees of the Civitas. You should be safe in the location I'm taking you. It is a small elven community, but one of my favorites to come and visit from time to time. Lathrius.
Yes, huh. Sounds interesting enough. I'm excited for it.
Is there anything we should know about, like, the mannerisms of elves so we don't offend them, or the
That's a
touchy
very good
subjects?
question. As far as I am concerned, is the elven community are a tight-knit group. Not to say they don't deal with strangers, but the Twisted Wood, it's not very often that they do see outsiders, especially ones that I bring to them. The Twisted Wood are usually the magical nature of the Twisted Wood typically makes this town that I'm bringing you to somewhat shrouded and protected from any outside prying eyes, such as the Titanian Empire. If they are withholding of information, do not see them as being rude, but merely they are trying to protect themselves and their longevity. So do not be quick to judge is all I could really say. Otherwise, I'm sure if you treat them like people you've seen in the past, you should be quite fine. Except for you, Vikavor, I would not unleash any type of magical fireballs in the city. You have been warned. I wish he was here.
Now, do you know if they take kindly to my kind, so to say?
I would say, sure. You are not an animal or a wild beast. You are sentient in nature, and you have been cursed. If anything, they would want to try to make you comfortable and perhaps help you with your curse.
Hmm,
But from
indeed.
what I can tell, you've got a pretty good grasp of it. You're quite in control, as I'm able to see.
Well, not too much longer. Uh, I'm afraid I only have about an hour left before I revert back. I just want to make sure that I'll be okay if we get dropped off here.
Oh, yes, the druids of this land occasionally transform into the very creature that you are in humanoid form of. Wolves doing patrols and such, bears, all manner of creatures. You will not be judged differently.
Well, that's reassuring. Starting to break out in the cold sweats here soon, so I thought I'll be okay.
I'm sure of it. You will all be fine.
Do you have any recommendations on anywhere we should go when we get to the town?
I think I will have you speak with the village elder just to make sure that they understand exactly why I'm bringing you here. That way, there's no question as to why outsiders are traveling within their village. From there, you'll probably be watched, no doubt, by the gods, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, they want to make sure that no one is out to get them or anything like that. The village elder more than likely will have some of the same things to say as I have. They can feel the pain of the trees, of the forest itself, due to these Titanians and their attacks against the denizens of the Twisted Wood. And with that, he starts to glide, and you can see he's starting to descend towards the trees. And hold on to something. This pot is always a little tricky. And as he says that, more than likely all of you grab some of the branches or vines and stuff that he is currently made of, and he sort of dives down into the trees. And you can tell that you're a considerable distance up in the air, probably a couple hundred feet, which leads you to believe that the trees of this forest are, they're huge. As he glides down, he comes to where he sort of swoops up from the ground, flaps his wings a couple times, and then he lands gracefully. He lets down one of his wings, almost like the little escape blow up slides from an airplane. He sort of lays it out like that. Go ahead and get off, and I will revert back to my normal form. You see the little baby dragon sits there, and it kind of shakes its butt a little bit and jumps down and sort of slides down the branches and the tree, the leaves and such, and sort of does like a double flip and then lands on its belly and shakes its head and sort of brushes the dust off of it and turns around and kind of looks, and it looks eager to see how Snoopy lands.
And as I see that, I do a quick little stretch and a rolling of my shoulders, and then do a backflip off of his back. And
Okay.
The second he touches down, I blink and land on his shoulder.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go ahead and climb down him like a ladder.
square.
I'm sorry, I'm a big bulky animatronic. I don't exactly have the acrobatics that everybody else has.
Vikavor will he gets over and he kind of just slides down like a child. Their first time down a slide. They're not really sure how to go about it.
Can I try to attempt to do what Kevin's character did,
Sure.
but as a robot? Do I need the rolling?
But as a robot.
Actually, I'll have, now that I know what everyone's doing, I'll have Donovan and I'll have Saberwolf roll dexterity checks for me.
Okay.
Nice.
If I can find my sheet, like I just had it open. Alright, I guess I'll open it up.
Make sure it didn't minimize itself to where you can't see it, maybe.
No, I got it.
Oh, I still need to go back. I forgot to go back and put these neato macros on y'all's shits. I apologize.
You said a dexterity check?
Correct. Okay, so Saberwolf does his stretching. He holds out his hands, and then he kind of like he leans to one side, making one of his elbows drop towards the ground, and he sort of swings his elevated side up, causing him to do a backflip, and he lands with perfect form. As he does that, he's like, "Ah, the ground," something like that. And then Donovan looks at it, analyzing, and he does the exact same thing, except for he's able to sort of twist the axle around his stomach to where he does some extra movements with his legs, like they spin almost like a hand mixer when you're making mashed potatoes, and he lands perfectly, causing like a nice perfect circle underneath him, and then he tips his top hat to Saberwolf, who now has Snoopy on his shoulder.
Show off.
I commend you. You did a good job. You might have to take my job.
I start saying, what is it? Binary to him. I need that.
Yeah, you do.
You have tried your best, but I am better.
Kidding. So after you all land, you watch as the large dragon in front of you, you can see all the branches and stuff start to sort of wither and decay, and it falls almost like think of a snake when it's shedding its skin. It's almost like that, and eventually there's just this big lump of moss, and then finally you see it sort of like open up, almost like a curtain, and Cratio walks out with his stick, and the moss wilts and then falls to the ground. Well, that's always fun to see everything returned back to the soil from whence it came. Now, we will go a little ways south. Shouldn't take more than maybe a 10-minute walk through the woods. And we should come up on that town that I was telling you about. The Threus. One thing I will caution you all about is I am taking quite a big chance on all of you. just for seeing what you did to protect my little creation here. I feel that I can trust you all a great deal. I would hope that you do not betray that trust, as, well, that would be quite awkward for me, and I do not wish to have to destroy you.
You can count on us. Oh, ooh. I have a question. Can you breathe fire?
Oh no. No, no. The form that you saw me take is one that I've been experimenting with for quite a while since my servitude to the Twisted Wood. No, instead, what I can do is I can send out a wave of nature, if you will, and it's, it acts as a sort of fertilizer for the plants and stuff like that. It causes vines to grow. It causes flowers to bloom almost instantly and triple in size. And if I were to use it on humanoid creatures such as yourself, it would cause you to get trapped in this entanglement of vines and twigs and moss and such, and all sorts of natural plant life would essentially destroy your body. It's
Whoa.
very different from normal dragons, but it acts somewhat the same.
That's cool.
That's quite interesting. I would like to see that in active combat. Not on me, of course. See that on a intruder of some kind that we might run into.
Yeah. As you do say combat, he starts to crack his neck and goes, "Well, if you ever want to have a little bout, I would be down for it. I have not fought in many years, as the Twisted Wood is quite good at deterring those that wish to bring harm to our people. Eh, but with this invasion of the Titanian Empire, there's only so much that can be done against such a overwhelming force, especially one with metal armor protecting it, and with siege weaponry that is almost bigger than myself."
Well, I can most guarantee I will rip that armor off and tear out their innards. In style, of course.
I do much like this one. You are just what I think this world needs. More people like all of you, rather. Except for your tendency to blow things up, Vikavor, but I only just. I'm gonna keep talking shit like that.
We keep side-eyeing him every time.
Yeah. As you guys are walking down, everyone roll me a perception check real quick. Okay.
And so it begins.
God. Oh boy. It has not stopped.
That's
It's
for
still going.
Vikavor.
That's a 1 and a 3.
just so everyone is aware, natural ones and natural 20s don't mean automatic fail or success on skill checks and stuff like that. It only relates to combat. So at least you're getting your ones out now, just in case you guys do decide to kill the guards for whatever reason. Okay, so as you guys are walking, Donovan, go ahead and describe to me what you see about this magical forest as you guys are heading towards this new town.
So you want me to describe the actual forest? Are we pulling up on the town, or is it just the forest?
Right now it's just the forest. You can see, I'll say that in the distance, probably about maybe 500 feet away, you can see these great wooden statues of, you can't really tell what they are of from this distance, but they're kind of like signifying the entrance to the town.
Okay, so I would say what I see is like almost akin to like a rainforest, if
Okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, because I didn't know. So it's like kind of marshy, marshy area that we're kind of walking in, but very like it has a very mystical sense to it, if that makes any.
Okay. Yeah. So
Like
as you guys are
it feels
walking,
like
yeah.
it feels like the forest is like very alive, but
Yeah.
not in like the plants and stuff. It's just like I guess the essence of it.
Okay. So yeah, as you guys are walking through, there are like it's not swampy for per se, but it's definitely damp in this area. And off in the distance you can hear a river. As you're looking around, you see a lot of like different, like think of lightning bugs. For those of you that have ever been to the south, they are called lightning bugs, not whatever the hell else anyone else calls them, because they're wrong. But think of how like they just light up and then they go away. You see a lot of these in vivid colors. Some colors you've never even seen before, except for Snoopy. Snoopy sees these in gray. I'm just kidding. I actually don't remember if they figured out if dogs are grayscale in their sight or not.
So dogs have 2 cones instead of 3, so they see what a colorblind person would see.
Okay, perfect. That's cool to know. So you see a wide variety of colors as well, but not anything compared to what everyone else sees. So like, you see like these, there's strings of them as these bugs start to fly around and things like that. There are uh, plants that have all types of different colorations to them, everything from bright oranges to deep purples. And as you guys get closer and closer, you notice that these wooden statues are essentially elven humanoids, but they're like dressed in different sort of like natural clothing. So like leaves that are stitched together to form like some sort of tunic. They have crowns of, one of them has a crown of flowers and the other one a crown of thorns. And both of them wield scimitars at their waist and a longbow on their back, but they have their arms outstretched in a sort of welcoming manner. So you can definitely tell that something changed over the course of the years to where this place probably used to welcome, travelers, and then something happened to where now they're trying to essentially shield themselves from the outside world. But as you guys come in, you do see a few guards. They kind of look at you all, and one of them is about to approach when they finally notice that you guys are with Cratio. And then they kind of hold back, and they go back to their post. As you guys are walking, Cratio, now don't worry, these travelers are under my protection, and I will take full responsibility for anything that they do here. And he begins to go walk forward, and with that, we will bring you guys to the map. Welcome to Lathrius. Now, follow me. We will find you a place to rest in a moment, but I think it would be best for you to meet the town elder. Afterwards, I will go back to surveying the forest and trying to help those creatures in need as best I can. Our journey together is about to come to an end, so I think on this final stretch of our journey, If you have any final questions, feel free.
If we need to get a hold of you, is there any way that we can do that?
There is. It's not the most reliable way, for there's no telling how far away I will be at any given time. But if you speak my name out there in this forest, the trees will carry the message to me. And then perhaps if you just have maybe a question or something as such, you can just ask it to the trees, and I will give you my response in some way, shape, or form when I can.
Okay.
Thanks for everything, Cratio.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, though, for protecting my young little forest dragon. It
Then
is.
I walk up towards him. Yes, thank you very much. And I give him a big hug and lift him.
Ooh, I do not believe that I've been embraced in such a way for quite some time.
You see this like tree trunk start to grow a little bit low on little branch starts to grow.
A little red tree, okay. I can dig it. Disgusting. Kidding. One thing to note of this town, as you guys are walking through, most everything is made out of some sort of natural flora. And sometimes you do see the trees themselves have been not necessarily hollowed out, but they're being used to essentially make the houses and living quarters inside of them. There are other locations that have been brought up, and what it looks like is mostly like dead trees or other moss, things like that, to erect these structures. But as you're walking through as well, a lot of the denizens here, they're not your typical looking elves. So they're not like the sort of pale skin with like, bright colored hair and stuff like that. These ones, they all have a different uh or they all have a similar skin tone to each other. It's kind of greenish right now. And as you're looking at them and you're looking at the forest around you, you can definitely tell that the time of the year is spring, and for whatever reason, their skin tone matches that of the time of year. A lot of them cast glances at you, kind of wondering why Cratio is bringing in these outsiders. You can definitely tell that they're not threatened by you in any way. They're more curious, if anything. But as you
And
guys walk, oh, go ahead.
I whisper to Snoopy on my shoulder. Here's the ultimate test here. And then I change to my true form.
Okay. So you transform, and you can see some of these elven folks are kind of like puzzled, and then you see this one child run up and goes, "Oh, wow, wow! Can you do that all the time? Because my dad can do that kind of thing, but he can only do it a little bit. So how long do you stay in this furry form?" And he starts to like pet your leg.
Oh well, young man. It's more so a somewhat permanent thing. But for a certain amount of time a day, I can turn back to my human form.
Permanent thing? How do you do that? Even our best druids can't do it for permanently. Well, maybe one of them, the village elder, can, but he's a whole different thing. Um, how do you do it permanently? Can you teach me maybe? I would like to learn.
And then I squat down to his level. Squat down to his level. Well, my boy, this is more of a unwanted gift. Then I pat him on the head.
Then I
Hmm.
lick his face.
You lick the kid's face?
Yeah,
No.
because if I'm on his shoulder, now I should be about head height.
Yeah. Okay. So you lick it. He's like, your doggy is silly. Why does he sit on your shoulder?
Well, young man, this is my pal. He's my partner in crime. I'll consider him that.
Why do
Hi,
you live a
nice to
life
meet
of crime?
Well, not in a literal sense, you know. I mean, he's a friend, a really good friend that I'm sure I can trust.
Hmm. Okay. And then he turns around and runs away. He's got like his arms flailing and stuff like that.
There's a
Well,
nice thing here.
yes, the children are always fascinated with things that are different. I'm surprised they didn't want to look at your two mechanical friends just yet, or maybe they don't really understand exactly what they are. But regardless, it seems that everyone's taking kindly to your visit so far, which is good. We are almost there. Once we cross this bridge, we will be close to what they call as the Great Tree of the Twisted Wood.
The great tree. I'm seeing a pattern here. Trees. Trees. I'm sitting there pondering and just scratching my chin. Trees. Weeds. Trees. I'm just starting mumbling to myself, just continuing to walk.
Yep. So as you guys start crossing the river, you kind of take a peek over the sort of like the railings and stuff, and you can see that there are some of these elven folks that are walking on the water, and they've got spears in hand, and they throw them, and they're catching fish. They're doing spear fishing and stuff like that. Others are wading across and gathering fish with nets and stuff like that. You can see that it looks like everybody contributes in some way, shape, or form to this community. Off in the distance, you see over here, you can see like this large sort of open-aired building. And there's a lot of children that are all kind of like gathered around one older looking elf. And you gather that this is probably like a schoolhouse or something like that.
Interesting. I would like to see that. Maybe we could come back later.
Yes, you can do as you please once I leave you. We're almost there. This location here, and as you get to the very end of the bridge, this is the essential location for all the craftsmen of the town. You won't find much in the realm of metalworking, but anything of the natural sort, more than likely they can help you with. There is one blacksmith. I do not know where he is, but he could probably help you if you need any sort of repairs or weaponry. And as you guys get past that sort of like crafting area, well, we're almost there now. We just have to cross one more bridge.
Hey, a quick question about that blacksmith. Do you know if they work on guns for my friend here?
Hmm. In all honesty, the weaponry that your two animated or metallic friends wield, I honestly haven't seen anything like it. Not until the Titanian soldiers started to attack. So I highly doubt that they do, but I'm sure if you show him an example, he is a very skilled blacksmith, and perhaps he can help out in some way.
Hey, Donovan, maybe they could add something new to your gun. Potentially, I know there's no promise for it, but it's possible, right?
Anything is possible if you talk to the right people and have the right willpower.
Well, I hate to keep stopping you. Just continue the door. We don't want to hold you up. I know you have to get back to the forest.
And as he continues moving forward, in this, you see this hollowed section of this tree that essentially leads to a sort of large branch that acts as a bridge. And on the other side of it, you can see this very like this much larger tree, and it's decorated with many other like statues and stuff like that. They sort of start from the bottom of the tree near the roots, and they're almost like the faces of other elves. And it kind of spirals around this tree, and it goes up and around, up until you can't even see anymore because of how tall the trees are, with all the brush like causing it to what's the word I'm looking for? Impede your line of sight. And here we are, the great tree of the twisted wood. Once I let you loose to speak with the elder of the village, I will return back to the twisted wood and try to help those that are in need. Just since meeting all of you, I have heard the cries of the denizens of the Twisted Wood. It seems the Titanian Empire has started deforesting. They are chopping down the trees for probably fuel and other things like that, and unfortunately, a lot of lives have been lost since this has started, so I will do what I can. Now, the village elder, by no way, shape, or form is he same title of a king or something, but he acts most like one. I do not exactly remember how they go about appointing a new elder, but maybe that is something you can ask him if you're curious about it. But his name is Corwin. Corwin.
Gore worm?
Corwin.
Gore worm. Interesting. Weird names they have here.
Oh yes, but it happens. Elves.
Ah,
So as you guys get closer, you see these sort of you see these elves in very thick wooden plating. And the thing that's weird about it is, even though you can tell that their armor is made out of wood, it almost looks as hard as plate mail itself. So there's something special that they do to this armor to where it makes it as hard as metal almost. But they've got their helmets on to where you can't see their faces at all, and each of them have two hand axes and a longbow on their back. Currently, they hold pikes, much like any sort of royal guard would. And as you all approach, Cratio kind of holds up a hand and goes, "We wish to speak with the village elder. I have brought outsiders that should be able to help with our Titanian issue." They all sort of do a humble bow and respect to Cratio, and they get out of the way. Well, that was easier than I expected. Shall we? And as you guys walk in, go ahead and roll a perception check for me. Let me roll it for Donovan. Okay. So as you walk in, you see this very beautiful sort of like the tree has been sort of hollowed out in some portions to make for a massive central chamber. And you see spiraling staircases that go up the length of the tree. And seems like every 50 feet or so, it sort of branches off and to a hollowed out portion of one of the large branches of the tree to make like its own room or own wing of like a palace in a way. And this goes on up and up until all you see is sort of like darkness because of how high it goes. These trees, as I have described, are extremely tall. And as you come in, you do see a elven gentleman that is standing in the center of this chamber. You see his hands outstretched, and he's got this sort of greenish energy that's sort of flowing, almost giving him like this greenish aura around him. And as Cratio comes up a little bit closer, he kind of stops, and then he taps his staff one time. And with that, you can see the elf's ears kind of twitch a little bit, and the green aura fades, and he turns around to greet all of you. And this is kind of what he looks like. Why, hello.
Then I shuffle towards Horatio to whisper to his ear and say, "So what do we do? Are we on Brown or something like this? I am kind of lost. It's been a long time since I've gotten in contact with a elf."
Oh, you shouldn't need to do anything like that. This elf starts to approach you, and he holds out his hands in a very like greeting gesture, and he goes, "Please have a seat." And as he moves his hands away, you see the tree almost come to life and form a long bench right behind you where you're at. And Cratio kind of steps back a little bit, and he has a seat. I will rest for but a moment before I exit. I have many things to do, Corwin. I wanted to show you some allies that I have made, some allies of the forest. I think that they could possibly be of a great assistance to not only your town, but to the Twisted Wood as a whole. So, if you wouldn't mind just hearing what they have to say and giving them a chance. And he nods his head. I have always come to respect the decisions of you. You are, after all, the Baelnorn of the Twisted Wood. You are probably far wiser than I, so I will give these outsiders a chance to prove themselves and to help us. Cratio has this large smile on his face as he kind of peers from each of you to see how you're kind of like taking it all in, and as all of you are kind of looking around like this magnificent structure. Well, it was a short visit, but it's always wonderful to see you and your people striving as always. Until we meet next time, my friends. Cratio starts to walk around the bench on his way out. If anyone wishes to say anything to him, you may.
Horatio, once again, we appreciate you bringing us this far, and I guarantee we will get more assistance, and we will be back to the forest to help you.
Glad to hear it. And he smiles and then starts to walk away. Very old man like. So, Cratio seems to have put his trust in you as outsiders. Might I ask your names? I am the village elder, Corwin.
Well, if you must know, my name is Sigvarolf. And as you see, I am a bit of an entertainer, considering my appearance towards you. Sorry for my appearance, by the way. It's nowhere I can really control it.
Does not, unlike the Twisted Wood, to have lycanthropes about. I see no reason for you to apologize. Take pride in who you are.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
I'm Snoopy.
A talking dog.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm,
There's something special about this one, for sure. I can't wait to hear your story.
I am Barin. As you can see, I'm an animatronic.
Yes, I can see that. There are, in fact, two of you. Were you both built by the same creature?
No, we actually just recently met.
Very curious. What about your other metallic friends?
That is Donovan.
Yes, my name is Donovan Mitchell, and I also want to twirl my gun and do some gun tricks. Can I roll a performance?
Yeah, go for it.
Cheer.
Okay. So Donovan pulls out his pistol and starts twirling it. He pulls out his musket and does like some military, like royal guard bullshit, twisting it in the air and stuff like that. And then after he puts all his weapons away, he tips his hat. Quite the performance there. And your final companion? Yeah. My name is Vikavor, and I'm still trying to learn my place and try to hold back a little bit from what I've been
You gotta
told.
make him sound like that. Like an anime protagonist.
You should hear when I try to imitate Reed. Yes, it seems that the Titanian Empire is... This shit's funny. Well, it is quite the pleasure to meet all of you. Now, I have a humble request. Since you are to most likely be in need of our assistance for quite some time, perhaps we can use your skills to aid our humble little village. If you do not mind lending your assistance, that is.
Well, we made a promise. We're here to keep it. But in return, we definitely need a bit of rest. Been walking around for a while.
I will make sure that you have adequate room and board. I will make sure that your food is provided while you are within my service, so you will not have to worry about any sort of payment except for doing the deed that I have set forth for you to do. And perhaps, based on how well our partnership goes for now, maybe we can see this as more of a alliance of sorts. There are things that we Eladrin are unable to accomplish due to our heritage and such, if that makes sense. But outsiders, you have no limits except for what you put in front of you.
What kind of things would you need us to do?
Well, there is an issue of the Titanian Empire, for certain. I don't know how much you all know about the Titanian Empire or what has been happening as of late. From what I've been told through the breeze of the forest, is you all have just recently come back from another land. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Indeed.
We think so.
Well, since your departure from this world, there has been a great many demon lords and such coming from the lower planes of existence, and they've been running amok across the continents of Boridil, causing all types of strife and hardship to those that live in each region. The only one that doesn't seem to be affected, though, by these demon lords for whatever reason, is the Titanian Empire. And in fact, they have been causing a lot of trouble in the regions that surround them. To the north of the Twisted Wood lies a great empire, well, once a great empire, known as the Sea of Vetus. They have since been eradicated by the hands of the Titanian. And to the south, the Zeradel Empire, full of folk that I am quite fond of, but unfortunately they've been pushed back to the brink of extinction from what I've been told. They will not be able to last against the overwhelming might of the Titanian soldiers and the Orcish armies of the Demon Lord Sigorius for much longer. And that is where we come in. The Twisted Wood has always been a neutral ground between these great empires, and it hasn't been since the fall of the Sea of Vetus that the Titanian Empire has sought to control it. But their thought of control is more of a thought of slavery and eradication of our people. To the north of this town, there lies an ancient shrine, one that our ancient ancestors built so that we may commune with the gods of nature. But over the past few weeks, we have essentially lost those voices. They cannot be heard and they do not hear us. I have sent many scouting parties out to see what has happened of this shrine, and only a few have ever returned, for the Titanians are a lot stronger than my soldiers, unfortunately. They have the numbers, and they have these armaments that seem to be able to destroy fey creatures. So, outsiders like yourselves, none of you seem fey. I think that you're just the people for the job. I would ask you head towards the north to the shrine. I will make sure that you are not bothered by any other fey presence on your way there. And if you could clear it out of the Titanian muck, I would be greatly appreciated. And perhaps, based on how well you do, maybe there's other things, other tasks I can give you with far greater rewards.
All right. Well, I don't want to speak for everybody that's with me, but I know for sure I am okay with it.
I'm down.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like we're in for an adventure.
All right. It sounds like a plan. Looks like we must move north and destroy that threat you talk about.
Yes. And although, time is always of the essence, take as much time as you require to rest up and gain your bearings. When you are done, I will make sure that you have adequate equipment for the job if you do not think you do already. But just remember that this is a decently small settlement. We do not have a lot of things that you deem as necessities in the outside world here, as we live off the land for the most part. But we will try to accommodate as best we can.
Once again, much appreciated. Need as much help as we can get. And in turn, we got you for however much you oblige us.
Very good. Before you leave, though, this other realm that you came from, what was the name of it? Or perhaps you know the denizen that ruled it.
I just cough to myself and then walk away.
Anyone else have an answer for me?
I believe it was a vampire named Strahd who controlled that land.
So you came from another dimension known as Barovia, then.
Yes.
It's quite unsettling, honestly. Another threat that we may have to deal with in the future. Well, I will have my gods take you to where you will be staying while you are here in our town or village. If you need anything, any of the gods will be able to aid you in what I deem fit. Until then, it was a pleasure meeting all of you, and I hope the best of luck in your coming quests.
And then I'll walk back over to him. I'm like, all right. Once again, thank you. And I raise up my forearm in hopes that he will understand that he should put his forearm next to mine and beat it real quick.
I do not understand this motion.
Oh, it's a sense of gratitude, you know. I thank you, and or you know what? Never mind. And I just put my arm down and just walk away and scratch the back of my head.
Strange creature. He turns around, putting his back to you guys, and he holds out his hands. And you can hear him muttering something in a language that I don't believe any of you know.
What
Does anyone
language
speak
is it?
Sylvan?
I do.
Oh. You hear him actually roll a perception check. Because he's muttering it softly. Yeah, you can't tell what he's
Dang
saying.
it.
You can hear some of the words, like the syllables and stuff, and how they sort of meld together, and you can tell that he's speaking in Sylvan right now. But otherwise, you can't hear what exactly he's saying. And the guards come up to you guys and sort of usher you towards the exit.
Can I stop one of the guards and ask him, hey, what is he doing?
He's trying to commune with our gods of nature. He's been doing it for several weeks with no success. He has given up many, many nights of trance in order to try to establish contact again. And all of it has been for no reason, or to no avail.
Oh, okay. I
We
guess
will
I
show you
continue
to
on.
your quarters. And as you guys
Ah,
start
yes. Lead the way. Hey, uh, where do we get food? I'm hungry. Gotta keep the wrestler must stay strong. I have to keep my belly filled.
We will make sure that you have plenty of sustenance as you are able to rest until you go out on your adventure. Just talk with the keeper of the inn, and they will be able to give you all mannerisms of food. But do not gorge yourself, as supplies are always with what we need. Think of how Indians, these elves kind of work in the way of Indians in a way. They only take what they need at that given time. They don't really store things for long use, except for maybe alchemical potions. But when it comes to like food and water, they take what they need. If they use any sort of animal carcass, they use every bit of it. Which you're starting to sort of see that as you walk around, you see a bunch of animal bone ornaments and stuff like that. While you guys think about, or why don't you guys go ahead and think about some things that you would want to explore in a town that you've never been to. And we'll take like a 5-minute break real quick so I can get food because pizza just got here.
Pizza sounds freaking amazing right now.
I know. You and
Man,
your
what?
little vegetarian bullshit diet thing
Oh,
right now.
Oh no, I cut that off last night. I'm good.
Oh, did you go to Hardee's like you did that one when you tried the water diet?
No, this time around, I end up
Shots fired.
I end up getting some Angus beef and like maybe like a fat ass burger.
Tight. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, so I kind of want to see that school. Kind of thinking I want to see that school.
I'm trying to figure out how to do a freaking need a soundboard for like all the stuff all the noises I'm gonna make as him.
Yeah, because I have the same like voice thing as Brady. I just don't know how to set it up on Discord yet.
What is it?
So
A
I can,
voice
like,
meter?
It's like let me
I think it's called voice meter.
Morphvox.
Hey, so sorry, I had to step away. Did I miss anything?
No, he was just giving us our mission and letting us rest now.
you said
okay.
morph box.
Yeah, but I'll ask Brady for it because he'll send you the cracked version of it, so you can actually.
Oh, okay,
Without
okay.
having to pay anything. Because I have it set up now, I just don't know how to set it up with Discord. So I won't have to like strain my voice when I'm like having to play the wolf version of myself. Oh yeah, and Joe. No, he walked away.
And like that, he's gone.
No, my precious doggy, he ran away. I need to get him back. My partner.
Trying to figure out how to do this.
I had some freaking potato tacos earlier, and like now I'm hella hungry.
I don't know how to use this voice meter thing. I thought I did, but I guess I don't.
You know what you should do? You should get like a sound. See if you can find like a soundboard of like classic Pitfall. And just use all the noises from classic Pitfall.
Bro, I have so many things I'm doing. Like as we're sitting here doing this, I'm just listening to all like the window sounds. I'm about to be like super obnoxious with this too.
Like Atari Pitfall has that like sound when the game first starts. You just hear like ugly hell.
Bro, I forgot how cool the startup sound for Windows 95 was. It's like dope as fuck.
Do do boo do boo.
Yes. So fire.
Yeah. I remember that. Like, I remember I used to be scared of that sound when I was a kid.
Which
So I'd be
sound?
like, the Windows 95, 98
95,
startup sound.
98 is what scared me.
Yeah, yeah. Boom, 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 boom.
But I don't know how to attach this little jingle thing to a fucking voice
How much?
meter.
Well, you might have to put it on your phone and just play it that way.
No, that's janky.
I know, right? Immersion broken. Dude, I'm trying to figure out what I want to eat. Dude. I can start.
Is everybody else back or?
So I guess I have to download these singly, but I don't know how to do that.
I'm somewhat back. I am back, but I'm gonna order my food here in a minute. Run quick down the street here in a minute. Grab some Chinaman food.
Yes. Whoever just did that, yes.
That was me.
Bro, how did you do that?
I use Discord. My little bots that can play YouTube videos.
Oh yeah. You
Oh,
need to do that.
okay. Maybe I have to. Well, no, because I could have swore I could connect this jingle board to a voice meter.
You
and then
should be
connect
able
it
to, yeah.
I don't know how to do it though. It's not like letting me really do it.
You got the jingle palette, right?
Yeah, that's the one you recommended.
Yeah. So if you go to settings, make sure your audio is put to whatever output device it needs to be on, which actually mine I think is wrong. Tell me if you hear this say help. Yeah, mine's wrong actually. Mine changed. Oh dear. Why did it stop? Or why did it change though?
Ba-dum, ba-dum, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, you should make it. Hey Gerald, you should make Donovan do something like every time he says something, getting ready to say something wise, all of a sudden you just hear the Mandalorian noise play.
Who?
Woo, woo,
Who?
woo. That's what you should do.
Slick.
Baloo, baloo, baloo.
And are we gonna get money out of this? Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, mine's messed up now too. Something happened to my...
Curses. I think I'm gonna order me some General So chicken. Yeah, get that Pitfall Atari
Need that.
startup noise, dude. You need that.
Okay, let's see if I fixed it. Hold on.
Order my food real quick.
Why did it play that? Like
Play what?
that noise. I don't get it.
Hey man, it's Atari, man.
My
No, just
output.
don't play anything. Every time you grab a rope. I'm watching somebody speed run this.
Yeah, you need to just get nothing but like Atari noises, Atari game noises.
That's pretty much how I'm gonna do.
Who? Who?
My
Yeah, I'll
next
have to
character's
figure
about to
out
be
my
an asshole.
palette next, like later. I don't know why mine's not working anymore.
Real quick.
Okay. So, in no particular order, as you guys are brought into the inn, you're met with a green-skinned elven gentleman. Oh dear, what is that?
I need that noise.
It's the Donkey Kong theme. Dun, dun. When you walk around, that's the noise you make. Dun, 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 dun.
That's hilarious. I remember that.
While his
Doodle-ding-ding.
eyes are making some sort of glyph, some sort of like screensaver.
That's so funny.
But yeah,
quite
as you guys
true.
come into this inn of sorts, it's a very small location. This looks to be like maybe like where a lot of people do a bunch of like meetings and gatherings and stuff like that with families and such. But it also looks to be as if back in the day when travelers would come and go as they please from this town, there's still a lot of open doors that lead to old unused rooms. And the guards kind of leave you to it and go, if you do need anything, just let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate you until it is time for you to go out and do your task set forth. Do not get into any trouble either, as we would hate to have to deal with you personally.
Oh, yeah, I can guarantee you won't have any trouble out of us.
They kind of give you a head nod and then walk away. And as they do that, this elven man approaches. So I couldn't help but hear that you're hungry. What are you in the mood for?
Oh, well, I'm glad you would ask. What do you have, though?
Human flesh.
No. We do not eat other humanoid creatures. But there were a few boar that we caught this morning that were trying to eat our crops. So we can have pork chops if you wish, or maybe a pork brisket.
That sounds delicious.
I start drooling like the Pavlov dogs of old.
I would like the pork chops. Please, if you oblige, please.
Oh yes, well, anyone here vegetarian?
They call me vegetarian.
Good one, little doggy.
He looks at you puzzled. Interesting.
Saberwolf told me that joke.
Very much more interesting.
Oh, no, don't blame that on me. You shouldn't have repeated it.
Sorry, Saberwolf.
But anyway, that pork chop, please. I wouldn't mind that. As I'm like salivating and like trying to catch my breath.
So he heads off towards the back. And when he opens up the door, he comes back with a large plate of pork ribs, pork chop, pork brisket, if that's a thing. He also has many leafy greens, aka a salad. And he comes in with like a cup of this white, like very not very viscous liquid, and puts it down. He's like, "This is the grease from the pork. Perhaps that is what you want."
I lean down to sniff it.
Not for you, for your metallic friend.
Donovan, you have it.
As Saberwolf is like playing around with that tub of grease, I snuck over and I'm just like chowing down on those pork ribs and just they're probably half gone. not chewing for a second.
And I look back over to hey.
Scamper away and get under the table.
Don't worry, there's plenty of food, plenty of food.
I take that grease and start to rub all my gears with it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then you just see
So
his,
Snoopy, as he's
oh.
doing that, your nose, you're starting to sniff him, and he smells like boar.
Oh.
and then and then you just see Donovan. You see Donovan's head pop open like a pass dispenser, and he just pours the grease in there.
I'll like lick Donovan for a second and like kind of get back to reality. Like, oh god, what am I doing? And just kind of do it again. Like, I'm going between sentient and then dog, like trying to not lick him in his gears.
Yeah, so much like when you eat something and then your dog uncontrollably just licks the shit out of your hand, Snoopy is doing that to you right now, Donovan.
Okay, you hear me make the Windows 98 chime where it's like exclamation, where it's like ping.
And I'm just chowing down with my eyes increasingly getting more and more glowy because I'm just infatuated with the taste of this food.
Is he still licking me? Are you still licking me?
Yeah.
Hey, stop it.
And I do like that sit that dogs do, where it's like your butt, you can't believe how fast it sits on the ground. Like turn around and like go back to the ribs.
And then I grab Snoopy by the pack on his back and just lift him and put him on the counter.
I'm standing on the table and just chowing down.
And because we're having such a good time, let's get it.
Okay. So after Donovan gets all greased up, he pulls out his harmonica and starts doing a little bit. And as you guys are eating, what's it called?
Brady, what's one of your favorite metal songs?
Trying to find it.
Whatever it is, I'm doing the harmonica version of that.
All right, hold on. Here we go.
And then while that's going on, I lick the rib meat and the sauce from my nails, and I was like, oh, while this is going on, I'm getting in the groove. Hey, does anyone have any balls or any pile of sticks that they can lend me? Because I intend to see if I can juggle.
Okay. The barkeep goes outside and retrieves a couple of, fairly decent sized rocks and some sticks and brings them back in. This should help you.
Thank you. All right. Does anybody want a nice performance in these trying times? As I call out to everybody in the in the inn.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people here. In fact, there's only just you guys.
Damn, we're having a really good time.
Did any of you play Grand Theft Auto?
All right, this
Of
is how we're gonna
course.
do it.
You know that song "Want to Get to Heaven"? That's what I imagine playing.
I don't think I've seen that one. Or I
good.
remember that one anyway.
You're back.
Okay, I found it. Oh yeah, I remember that now. So Saberwolf starts juggling for a little bit, and then he tries to get too into it and ends up dropping everything. But Donovan is still playing the shit out of his harmonica, and he's playing it really well. In fact, the innkeeper has brought out more food for you guys, and he started to enjoy it with you, as he's kind of like, you can see him sort of swaying back and forth to Donovan's song. And all of a sudden, there's a guitar
I was gonna say,
that you
this sounds
guys
like-
hear.
You see somebody come from the back, just.
wearing all red.
Yeah. All right, I'm putting back on the normal. I think I'm putting back on the normal. There we go.
Bad.
Bad to the bone.
Yeah, so you guys are now fairly full after, gorging yourself for like 20 minutes. Vikavor eating the salad because I'm making him a vegetarian for this session.
He was too busy snorting that fairy dust.
So
he sprinkles it on his salad.
yeah. You watch as he takes a handful of the lettuce and burns it and like spreads the ashes on the salad like pepper in a way and starts to eat it. We'll save that.
The sick son of a gun.
What a fucking weirdo.
Speaking of weirdos, as Donovan is playing his harmonica, go ahead and everyone roll perception.
Oh god. Can I roll good once?
You did.
Hey, that's not bad. 12, that's not good. Just because I
Plus
have
8. Yeah. So, Saberwolf and Snoopy, even though they're gorging themselves, you guys notice there's a lot of like little heads poking in to see what all this music is about. And there's a couple little kids, and they're looking and they're like, their eyes are like wide open, like in awe at this metallic figure just over here, like ripping it on the harmonica. And then they notice that you guys are looking, and they kind of get this shocked look, and they peer away. And then they slowly peer around the corner, see that you're still looking, and they dip away. And then you can hear outside, you can hear what seems to be other instruments being played, much in the same rhythm and tune of Donovan's harmonica. At which point, Donovan, you start to hear, or rather, your sensors start to pick up the different sounds coming from outside.
This is reminding me of something I've seen out of a performance I saw called, what was it called? Stargate.
I start to as I'm playing, I start to head outside to see what's going on.
Okay.
I'll follow along.
As I'm licking the bones and licking the sauce off my nails, I wipe my hands and follow behind him as well.
Okay. So you go outside and you see these kids as they're playing their different instruments. One of them's got a little drum, so that he's beating. Another one's got what looks to be a makeshift guitar made out of vines and a hollowed out log. And another one is like he's got two rocks that he's clanging together, somewhat as like a cowbell without any actual cowbell. But as you come out, they all stop and they look at you and they go, we're sorry. We didn't mean to interrupt. We just really like your song and we wanted to play with you, but we know we can't usually go inside of this place because we're told not to.
Well, we
Sorry.
can play out here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out my harmonica.
All
And I'll
right.
start playing for him.
Solid.
Oh,
So yeah, you guys start to play, and these kids are playing along with you, and it's a grand time. In fact, a lot of some of like the citizens have started to hear the sounds sort of echoing through the trees and stuff like that, and they come by and they all just like gather around and see that you guys are bringing this sort of musical talent into their village, and everyone seems to be having a grand time.
I'm still getting into the groove, and then I just begin to attempt to do some breakdance.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
breakdancing right now and playing the harmonica if that's possible.
and every now and
We'll
then I do that like
use.
dog howl that's in the
You
blues
just do it
music.
like roll acrobatics.
Oh, 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 oh. Okay, perfect. Is there anything that you're doing there, Swaff?
I'm just gonna be clapping along, like tapping my enjoying myself.
off beat.
Not as much of a show as everybody else.
Okay. Roll performance to see if you are
come
tapping
on,
your
try
foot
it
and
out.
clapping off beat. I can't
Watch this nat
wait.
one.
Oh
Watch
man.
this nat one.
It's close enough. Like every like eighth of a beat, he's tapping his foot and clapping his hands. And the kids at some point, like he's playing like his guitar, and he kind of looks over and he goes, "Can you please not?"
Why don't you shush?
as I'm break dancing, my head stays still, and I'm like looking dead at him. As he's on beat.
You see, I'm like my eye kind of like looks over to him.
And me, I'm just feeling the groove and just doing all kinds of breakdancing and hopping and flipping.
Well,
Vic-
I like to think that I'm not actually like offbeat. I'm just like every so often I'm like trying to time when like I can clap or like bounce to the beat, and it just looks horrible.
Yeah, you see Balrin, like he's got his head in such a way that he's trying to figure out like when the best time for all this to happen is, and he's just like off by like half a second each time. And eventually the kid playing the guitar stops and he's like, "You aren't good at this."
And then as it's all going down, I do one last backflip and switch back to human form in mid flip.
Okay, I will allow it because it's cool. But roll performance. Let's see how well your backflip. Or no, dexterity. Okay. So yeah, he gets down, he jumps up in the air, and then he kind of like shrinks a little bit, and then he pops out as a human, and everyone's like, "Oh, wow!" And they all start to clap, and then the kids are playing their instruments, and they're like, "Whoa, wow, he's so cool!" And
I'm
they
gonna
stop
follow him up
playing.
and try to do
Okay.
like the same backflip, and maybe like and go to land, but obviously not turn into human.
Okay, so
They
you do the same
expect it.
thing, and you land and you take a bow, and they're like, "Wow, the dog's even cooler."
Oh.
That's a nasty roll right there.
That's the only good one for the night, right, Joe?
Yeah, I stick my dog tongue out at him and go, haha.
And then a giant comes to town.
It just so happens that I have one ready.
Oh,
Kidding.
no.
Murders all the kids.
In big, and you just see me get big.
But afterwards, the kids stop and they come up to Donovan, and they all reach in their pockets and they hold something out. This is for you, please.
I look to see what it is. and hold
So
out
what
my
you see
hand.
are these like they're not dream catchers, but they're kind of along the same parameters. Like they're these little totems that these kids have probably made by their own hands, made of different like different moss and twigs and stuff, animal bones and stuff like that, and they hand it to you. We made these in class the other day, and we were told that if we what we were told is when you meet somebody and like they become your best friend, we were told to give these to that person.
And then as I reach to grab them, I make the Windows 98 startup sound.
Not the 95, the 98.
Just getting like the longer we go, like the higher
You're
grade we go.
You're
Uh,
evolving.
I'm
He's
updating.
upgrading.
Going to 2,000 in a minute.
Just wait until it's Windows 8. We're fucked.
Windows 8. But if he gets to Windows 10, he's gonna keep having to update.
He's gonna
Roasted.
run really well, but also need updates every day.
He'll run really well, but like before he runs, he'll have to take 5 minutes to just sit there and look up.
Windows-
And after they like look at you in awe after you make this really bodacious sound, they're like, "He's so cool." Well, it was nice to meet you, Mr. Metal Man. And the rest of you, you not really. And they point at Balrin.
So honest.
So much shade with him.
It was all because of that one
Because of his lack of
terrible performance role. You're definitely showing your white in D&D, dude. But then they all gather their stuff and they leave and they start running towards the bridge. And as they get to like right here, they turn around and they go, "Bye, Mr. Middleman," and then they keep running, like doing what kids do.
And then I walk up behind Donovan like and put my hand on his shoulder. Looks like they like you.
I am the best.
Yeah, I don't comprehend organic emotions. But I guess this was nice, is what y'all call it.
Mwah. Love you more.
Maybe a little more. We'll have you being a performer and an emotional wreck soon enough. And I just walk past him after that, back to the inn.
All right, I'm able to not go lick Donovan.
You withhold yourself from licking your greased up pal.
I am able to do so.
Okay.
And I call back to Snoopy. Hey, Snoopy, let's go. Is there more food in here? I'm hungry. And my voice fading out as I say.
And of course, there is more food if you want it.
I take one more rib and then continue to like sit at a stray table and just prop my feet up.
Okay.
I go to grab a pork bone, and then I'm like, wait, I know better. I spit it out.
How many of those things did I have, bro?
What things?
That the kids gave me?
They gave you one of them, and it looks like it was like a group effort to make it. So just put one totem of the child or something like that. I don't, whatever helps you remember what it is.
Totem of friendship.
That works. What is that for? To withstand, Joe?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
that was for.
Totem of friendship with 3
I
question
wanted to
marks?
roll a 1, honestly, but I didn't.
I love natural ones. They're the best. So at this point, go ahead and act as if you've done a long rest and gather all your stuff, and roll initiative for me, and we'll go down the line and let everybody do a thing
Jesus.
within town. Except for Vikavor, he's just going to be vegan. Because I don't know if Vikavor would have anything.
What happened? Why did mine's not post?
I don't know, but I can add it.
Hey, Brady, is my token supposed to be smaller? Or can it be smaller?
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I'm considered small, right?
I believe so, yes. I need to go to another map to change it.
No.
If you guys
rush.
watch the stream later, don't worry about seeing these demon lords that are on this map for whatever reason. It's not for you. It's for the other party.
That is.
Uh-huh.
It's like I was
Sure.
talking to Brady about. Like, yeah, man, it's like, whoa, what the other party has problems with, we make friends with.
We're a very RP heavy group.
Correct.
Oh, look at I'm all cute now. Now I can go on shoulders.
I got a. What was your initiative? An 8?
It was. Wonderful. Roll again.
Alright, so, Donovan, anything? What do you want to do in town during your long rest? You're muted, by the way.
What specifically was here? I saw where the blacksmith and everything was, but I think I walked, said I'd be right back doing the explanation.
Oh, it's a small town, so when it comes to a lot of like the craftsmen and fine goods that you guys are used to, whenever you go to like a large city within the empire, it definitely doesn't have much. But there's plenty of different like shops that look like they make different sort of like elven trinkets and things like that, or sylvan trinkets rather. I'll say that Donovan, you specifically, since you can speak Sylvan, and more than likely you've had some sort of like reason for that in your backstory. You understand that these folk are more aligned to the Fae and Sylvan folk than normal elves are.
Do they have like a temple or something here, or is that where the gentleman we just met?
No, yeah, they've got from when you were coming in, this structure right here looked to be some sort of like place for them to worship in a mass gathering. You also saw this shrine that looks like this is where they go to give offerings to their gods and goddesses.
I'm gonna go there.
Okay. So, as you walk into this, what you've noticed is a lot of these locations are open-aired. So there's not like a lot of doors and stuff. There's not a lot of like closure or privacy in this town, except for when you get to their actual homesteads. So you walk in and you do see a bunch of what look to be druids that are sort of leading a group of Eladrin. At this point, I think you guys would end up figuring out that they're Eladrin instead of elves. But he looks to be leading them through some sort of like lesson about the twisted wood and the nature and the gods that sort of run the thing, or that they pray to anyway. And as you're listening, you hear him talk about Hermes, the god of the hunt, and how he has essentially been blessing their lands with a bunch of different creatures for them to be able to survive on. Much like the boar that your party just enjoyed devouring and you enjoyed greasing up with.
So I'm gonna approach, I guess, the head. Is there like a head priest or anything here, or is there somebody in charge?
Uh, yeah, you go up to one of the people and you ask them for the person in charge of the temple, and they tell you that they'll be right back. And they go and you see this old, like you can't really tell with elves if they're older or not, but you can tell based on his stature because you can speak Sylvan. So as he comes out, you can tell that this Eladrin is a lot older than most of the other Eladrin around. Um, Why, hello there. The name is Hymo. How may I be of service to you, metallic one?
Hello, Mr. Hymo.
If I were there, I'll have a joke for that name.
The name's Donovan Temple, and I tip my hat to him. Um, so I was kind of curious on what was going on here. I heard your leader has been trying to contact the Fae for a while now.
Not the Fae, more of our gods and goddesses. Our tether has been severed because of the invasion of the Titanians. They have found a number of our shrines and have essentially defiled them, and we have been unable to clean up their mess or shoo them away, if you will. So currently what we are doing is we are trying to aid our elder in sending our own prayers to our god Hermes in hopes that he can send some sort of great beast to take on the Titanian Empire and rid them from our forest.
You said can you say that last part one more time?
We are trying to pray to Hermes, the god of the hunt, in hopes that he'll send a great beast of some sort in order to rid the Twisted Wood of the Titanian soldiers. So far, we have prayed for many weeks, and it seems that we are unable to get through.
I'm assuming the more temples you had, or I guess less disturbances you'll be able to contact.
In hindsight, that is exactly what we believe to be the cause, as everyday folk do not have this personal relationship with the gods and goddesses. There are much too many of us and far too few of them. But the most disturbing thing is the fact that our elder, the leader of our village, is unable to make contact with them as well. We're almost 100% certain that it is because of our defiled shrines. It has severed our link to the upper planes.
Upper planes. Oh.
Do you know of the upper planes?
I don't believe so. Just sounds familiar. Can I roll a history check?
Yeah, go religion check, please. You know a little bit about what he's meaning. There are essentially, you can think of it that there are the world that you're in, you know, is known as the material plane. Likewise, there are essentially 3 copies of it, almost like vivid, exact copies with minor modifications. The Feywild, the Shadowfell, and the Ethereal Plane. All of them look almost exactly like what you see in the Material Plane. It's just got a different twist on it. Like a different aesthetic, really. From that, you know that there are outer planes divided into 3 sections. The upper planes, which is where all of the good aligned gods reside, and there's a bunch of different ones. There's the middle planes, which is where all the neutrality is, and then there's the lower planes where the demons and devils essentially live, and other evil creatures or evil-ish creatures live. So obviously they are praying to Hermes, the god of the hunt, and he's talking about the upper planes, so you do with that what you will.
Question. So these, well, hold on, out of character. We do know about the demon lords, right?
Yes. Yeah, you guys were told from Cratio.
Okay, cool. So back in character. So these demon lords that have been running, do you think they would have came from that same plane of existence by chance?
They would be coming from the lower planes, most notably the Abyss, which is almost its own thing. It's not really its own plane of or it's almost its own plane of existence in a way. The thing about it though is the abyss is infinite. There's no end to it, and it's kind of like hmm. You know how when you cut a tree and you see the many rings and you can tell how old the tree is based on how many rings?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the abyss as a tree with an infinite amount of rings. Ongoing, never stopping. Within that abyss, think that there are infinite amount of demons and demon lords that reside in those places. And now you can see that they are starting to pour out into this plane of existence, seemingly to take over. Fortunately for our village, as well as the Twisted Wood, we haven't really had any shortcomings of a demon lord or any demons per se, except for these Titanians. But we know that they are finite, they can be stopped, as they are only human. We just do not possess the power, which is why we pray to our god Hermes. Hopefully he can send a creature of reckoning. Not necessarily to destroy the Titanian Empire, but at least make them flee our lands.
And you haven't, or because I know how this area or this kingdom lives. You guys haven't had any actual dealings with the Titanians?
He shakes his head and goes, "No, luckily, we have. The deeper you go into the Twisted Wood from the outskirts and from the middle road that we have allowed for travelers to take without essentially being tricked and trapped in the Twisted Wood. The deeper you go into either hemisphere of the forest, the harder it gets to find your place. The Titanians are unfortunate enough to not be very inclined to nature and its magics, which has kept us safe in our village. But they venture deeper and deeper every day, and it's only a matter of time, I believe, until they do find us."
Oh, wow. Oh. Now this area that we're going to, and I let him know about, I guess, the deal that we've had with the leader. Have you heard anything about what's going on here at all?
The birds have told me that there are Titanian soldiers that have found our shrine, and they're trying to use it for something. We don't know what, but it's some sort of summoning. We have been unable to get close enough to properly investigate, as I have sent many a critter to attempt to stop and ruin their plans, only to be met with an arrow or a bullet.
Oh, bullet thing. Okay. I believe that is all. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. And with that, he heads back, and you can see that a bunch of birds fly in at this point and gather around his shoulder, and they start tweeting at him, and he seems to be speaking normally to them in Sylvan. And go ahead and roll a perception check. You can hear him say, "Hopefully it's not too late then. Go and find out more." And the birds start tweeting, and then they fly, and they look to be heading in the northern direction.
Okay, cool. That's pretty much all I wanted to do.
All right, Saberwolf.
Okay. You said there was a school nearby.
Correct. It's across the bridge over near the riverbank. Just across the river bend.
Okay. I would like to head to that school out of curiosity of their education.
Okay. Oh. So as you walk up towards the schoolhouse, you notice that there are a couple guards that are posted. Obviously, from just that fact alone, you can tell that these people they want to make sure that they take good care of the children, as they know, they're the future of this village. So they make sure that they're protected at all times. As you approach, you see a female Eladrin with a lute, and she's playing songs, essentially teaching the kids about some of the arts and stuff like that. As you approach, she stops and she very softly says, "Ah, an outside visitor. Would you care to perhaps teach the children something? We do not get many visitors from the outside realms, not especially not lycanthropes. I'm sure they could learn quite a bit from you. Wouldn't you agree, children?" And all of them, like there's 30 of them, they're like, "Oh yeah, please, Mr. Wolf, teach us."
Ah, yes. I could definitely teach you something about performance. See, I'm not just any lycanthrope. This is an unfortunate gift per se, but otherwise, I endure it. As you can see, I'm obviously in a bit of my human form, but I could at will, and then I change it to change it to my lycan form. At
Okay.
will, go into my true form. So, naturally, I am
Wow.
a performer. So maybe I could teach you a bit of, I don't know. Maybe I could show you a bit of juggling. Try this again. Do you happen to have like any I don't know, spheres or balls or anything lying around that I could borrow?
Oh yes, perfect. Children, and they all jump up and go and gather random assortment of items. They bring you rocks and sticks. One of them brings you a clay pot. Another one brings you a very delicate looking glass, plate that looks like it's probably worth a lot. And if you were to drop it, oh boy. Um, all types of stuff.
All right. As far as the expensive things plate, for the sake of example and teaching the children my ways, I will set that aside for now.
Okay.
And everything else, may the show commence. So, first, if you want to be a performer like me, you have to have energy like I have. You have to show your energy to the public, and you have to know how to sway the crowd.
One of the elven children gets up and he's like, energy! And he like does a flex, but he's got wimpy little arms, and all the other kids
Yes.
start laughing at him.
See, he understands. You have to, then, if you want to earn that respect with your crowd, you have to show everyone your inner wolf. And then
Inner
I let out
wolf!
yes, inner wolf. And I let out a howl. Oh!
All right, all right.
All
From
right.
So,
across
as
town,
you-
hear.
Oh. Yeah, so because of how good you are at howling, obviously, because that's your thing, you howl, and after you stop, you hear, oh.
All right. And then, once you let out that energy, sway the crowd on your side, you just throw each object one at a time in a circle and catch the rhythm. And I'm assuming I gotta do a performance check for that.
Oh, you assume correctly. Okay. So as you're starting to toss things up and you're going at it, you drop a couple of them, but then you pick up the rhythm and you get it, and the kids go, "Oh, I see what it is. You're not good at handling balls."
Ah. And then I lean towards the teacher. And I had a joke for this, but I'm gonna keep that to myself. And I lean right back to the kids. Like, yes, that's exactly it. and
And then she kind of chuckles a little bit at your humor.
all right, and then I begin to show like do a backflip and land on my hands, like do like a handstand.
Okay.
I'll do a dexterity check on that one.
Yeah. Do acrobatics specifically. I've been meaning to change saying that. All right, perfect. Yeah, so you're juggling, and then you do a backflip when you throw everything in the air. Do a handstand, and you catch everything in one hand, and you're kind of just standing there, and you're like, huh? Huh? And all the kids, like, all their jaws drop, and they're just looking at you like, whoa.
Yes. And
He's
then
better than you, Teach.
Oh, and then I look over at her. Oh, so teacher has a bit of acrobatics herself. Why don't you show me?
Well, if you insist, I guess. And they're all like, "Oh, yay!" And now she grabs all of the things that you were juggling, and she tosses them all up in the air. And as they go up in the air, they stay suspended. And after that, she plays her lute, and she kind of does. You know how some of those artists like they make a beat and then they make it like continue after they stop playing that instrument. She does that with the lute and makes it stop, and it floats away. Then she grabs a flute and she does a little tidbit on that, and it floats away. And then she grabs like a little tambourine kind of thing and makes that do a thing. And then she starts to float into the air herself, and she starts to make just all these things that she has floating spin around her. And eventually she lands, and then she starts to juggle like 50 different objects. Way better than what you did, because she rolled a 30 on her performance check.
And then I look at all and hop back to my feet. And then I was like, with a performance like that, you will make a man very happy.
I already do. And as you look at her, you can see that she's got more of a stomach than you would expect
Ooh.
a woman of her stature.
Oh, and then I take a quick sniff because of my canine tendencies, and I can smell the child. Hmm,
Sure,
all
yes.
right.
Are you sniffing my vag? I'm just joking.
It's like I can that canine tendency of being able to
Yeah, nah.
sense
Yeah,
things.
I know what you mean.
Oh, but yes, this this is fun. I enjoy. This is my first time. I must admit, my first time encountering your people. I am honored. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for teaching the children with me. And all the kids start clapping for both of you.
And I bow, and then I grab and I attempt to grab the teacher's hand and give a kiss on the hand, and then just try and leave.
Okay, she allows it. Thank you again, Saberwolf, and be careful.
Thank you, you guys, you children. Mind your education. It's what makes you sensible adults.
They all kind of like give you this sort of like hollow look. Sure. You know how kids be.
Yeah.
Okay, nerd.
Yeah, nerd. And
I'm gonna
there's
be,
one
Alright,
kid in
boomer.
the back. There's one kid in the back that goes, "Ha! Gay!"
I'm over here. I'm over
He'll-
here basically being the safety mascot. All
Let's
right, now I guess
see.
I'll walk out. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, as you walk out, oh man,
He's
I love that
some
shit.
Adrian in the back with
Yeah.
like a t-shirt, skin
Yeah.
leather,
Yeah.
leather jacket on, and
I-
slick back hair.
I hear that and do an awkward smile, and scratch my head a little bit. Okay,
Perfect.
just keep.
All right. Balrin, anything you want to do during your long rest?
Well, I had a question first. Now that I have my spells chosen, or at least some
Okay.
of them. I know some take like materials. Do I already have those, or should I go and like see if I can acquire those here?
You should have some sort of focus that your class gave you. You can pick what you want it to be for flavor, but in terms of spells, when it comes to the material components, uh, most of them you just need your spellcasting focus in order to cast them, unless it has a gold value tied to it, which I don't believe any spells that you should have as an artificer should have
No,
that
no,
kind of thing.
yeah, none of them have that. Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure, just so I could go get
Yeah.
or see if I could get some of that. I'd like to go check out the forges.
Okay. So as you roll in to the sort of market area, you notice that most of the craftsmanship that goes on in this town is definitely anything that's like textile or leatherworking, pottery, even like herbalism and potion making and stuff like that. But you do see sort of over on this side, there's a mill that is got a forge that is currently being ran by one of these Eladrin.
Okay,
So as you approach him, he's banging his hammer. It looks like he's making pittons, which are those spikes that you use for like rock climbing and stuff like that.
mhm.
Ah,
I'd like.
a customer. Hello.
Hi, my name is Balrin. I'm new around here, and I was curious to be able to maybe watch you work a little bit, maybe learn about your guys' craft around here. I'm an artificer and a bit of a tinkerer myself, and I always enjoy learning about other people's trades and how they work with the materials they have.
Very well, yeah. The name is Zanvis, and I would be happy to show you my craft, but I will tell you, it's not really like anything you've really seen before. Have you noticed the armor that the guards around here wear?
I have.
It's a special sort of treatment that I give our lumber in order to make it as hard as plate mail itself. And it does stand the test. Do you happen to have some sort of weapon on you? I could show you.
I just have my revolver, and I switch my hand out. My
Okay,
revolver.
so you flick your revolver out. That's quite the neat parlor trick. How about instead you know what? Yes, this will be fine. He goes sort of towards the edge of his little like balcony that overlooks the river, and he sets up like two wooden dummies, and he outfits them with two separate pieces of armor. One of them you can see is the exact same armor pieces that the Elven or the Eladrin's soldiers have been wearing. It's like that. It's like this dark green. You can tell it's wooden, but it like when you touch it, it's hard as steel. And then he puts normal plate mail on the other one. How about you go ahead and take a shot at each of them?
All right, so I go ahead and line up.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me 2 attack rolls with your revolver. Okay. And this actually works perfect. So as you shoot the wooden one, the bullet ricochets and like hits the ceiling, and you go to shoot the plate mail, and sure enough, you put a big ass hole in it. And he kind of looks at you with this smile on his face. You see, this is what the world's missing, but unfortunately, this can only be really created in a magical place like this. In fact,
That's
it's so infused with the magic that only a matter of days pass outside of the twisted wood, and the armor becomes mundane, trees again. So it's good for us protecting our homeland, but we're not much of an invading force anyway, so... But I can somewhat show you the techniques. Are you good at spell casting or anything like that?
I would say that I'm still fairly a beginner at it, but I have a couple that I know.
Okay. Well then, let me go ahead and show you my craft. And he starts to pull out a bunch of various materials and stuff like that. Go ahead and roll me 3 perception checks in a row. All right, cool. So as you're looking over what he's doing and stuff like that, he occasionally asks you, "Did you get that? Do you understand it?" And you're like, "Yeah, I mean, I think I understand it." And then go ahead and with those rolls, go ahead and roll me a. Let me see, what would be a good one? Roll me a sleight of hand check with a disadvantage, as he hands you over the same tools to have you try to work on them. So he's showing you how to make like just a normal like a shield out of this material. So he takes the piece of wood, he tempers it in like a bath of like enchanted water, and then he puts it to the fire to do all types of random shit. But eventually he produces a wooden shield, or he takes this wooden shield and makes it to where it's as hard as steel. When you go to make it, you've got portions of it that are, as hard as steel, but the rest of it is kind of like just like damp wood, as if there's something along the lines of his lesson that you missed. But he kind of looks at you and goes, "In all honesty, for your first time and never really having seen anything like this. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with what you were able to produce. If you ever have a few weeks or so to stay in town, perhaps I could show you more and you could get better at it. But unfortunately, this is all I can show you for the day.
Well, definitely that sounds great. Well, I know we'll definitely be back, so I'll have to stop by.
Sounds fun. Balrin, you said?
Yes,
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you, Balrin.
it was a pleasure meeting you. I'm gonna go ahead and start to head back to the inn.
Okay. Was there anything else that you wanted to do? Since that one was shorter than the other two?
Not particularly.
Okay. Snoopy.
All right. Snoopy's gonna want to go and head over to the. He heard something about trinkets, sylvan trinkets, and
Yeah.
potions.
Okay. So as you follow Balrin as you guys get to the little marketplace, and Balrin sees the blacksmith and goes away. And as you're kind of following him, you get this stench in your nose, and you put your nose down to the floor and you start following it, and you kind of like weave your way all the way to the other side of this like sort of marketplace. And as you get there, you come across a not an elven woman. She looks more like she might be a gnome, perhaps a dwarf. You're not really sure. But you walk into her shop, which is closed off, unlike a lot of the other places that are open aired. And as you walk in, I have not seen a puppy dog in quite some time. They don't live in these parts anymore. Aren't you just the cutest little thing?
Oh, tail starts wagging. I say, I'm not just any puppy dog.
A talking puppy dog. My, my, my. May I pet you, little one?
Of course. And I just run over there and put my paws up like a bad
Okay.
dog. But
Well, as you do that, she starts to scratch you, and she's got these really sharp nails. But it feels really good as she's
I was gonna
scratching
say, it
you.
feels good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it feels really good. And as she's doing that, she's like, "Oh, you're shedding quite a bit. Don't worry, I'll pick it up." And as she does it a little more, she piles all your fur and puts it in her pocket.
Are you gonna use my fur to make something?
Hmm. And what do you think I could make?
Well, do you make potions?
I, in fact, do. Is there a potion that I could make to look like you? Perhaps. Would you like to see?
Uh-huh.
Well, I would need a couple more things from you.
Oh God, where's this going? What do you need?
Some of your saliva and blood.
Okay. um, I
She takes out a bowl, and inside of the bowl is a very fresh bone. And as you smell it, it smells like boar.
Oh, yep. Drool.
Yeah, you
Pavlovian.
start drooling, and she puts it in front of your nose and says, "No, no." And as you start to drool, it starts to collect in the cup until she's probably got like a third of a cup of drool. And then she picks the bone up and, "Here, eat."
And so I eat the pork bone, and of course it splinters, and I get a cut in my mouth.
Oh no, you poor little thing. She grabs a vial and puts it near the cut, which starts to seep into the vial, and she's like, "There, just a little more. Perfect. And now, give me but a few minutes to brew this concoction, and I will make a little puppy friend for you. How does that sound?"
No way.
She has this really large cast iron cauldron in the center of her little workshop that is currently bubbling. and you see a wooden stick that is stirring it, but it's not being held by anything. She takes a portion of
Okay.
your.
So,
She take
time out.
yeah.
I see this, and it gives me a flashback to when I was with Kevin's old character. I can't remember his name.
Ed Simmons.
Ed Simmons in with the sea hag and her cauldron stirring itself. Am I getting any
Ah.
haggy vibes?
You look at this and you're like, wow, that's almost exactly how that other lady did this. Roll an intelligence check. There's more than coincidence here. Something's very similar about these two, but still there's also a difference about this woman.
Is it like yeah, it's kind of making me nervous. And so I'm going to be like, "Hey, I've seen this cauldron stir itself before. How you doing that?"
Why, with magic, dear.
And I also met this
Now,
other person that made potions, but they were poisoning water.
hmm.
Kind of makes me nervous.
I know who you're speaking of, and luckily for you, she has been dealt with by some unknown sources, which is probably all the more better for the world. I can assure you, though, my intentions do not line up with that of my, uh, trying to think of, distant cousin.
So, are you a hag?
I prefer witch.
Which?
But yes, essentially, but I am a different sort. Most of these hags, as they have been deemed, are evil and chaotic in nature. I am what you would call a cloud hag.
Cloud hag. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
I.
I trust you because of you're in this village. I just was a little concerned is all. And
Oh.
guess who's the one that took care of that
Oh,
person I
you
was
know
talking
that
about?
you know these people?
Of course I do. He's me.
So, you're the one that I have to thank.
Yeah.
Well then,
N-
I never caught your name. I'm Opal.
Oh, and I'm Snoopy.
Well, Snoopy,
And I'm
not
an
only
elf.
is it oh, 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 it's just
Just
so
all of a
cute
sudden
thinking
turn into a
about it. Yeah,
Disney film.
I know,
I
right?
know. It is totally a Disney film. Do you want an apple?
She goes down to scratch your head again and says, "My, I'm going to make the bestest of friends for you. How about that?"
I am so excited.
So she goes and she grabs your hair from her pocket and throws in the cauldron, which poofs with this sort of white smoke because it's white hair. She then takes your saliva and she mixes the blood into it to make this sort of, and a couple other things to make this like sort of paste. And as she mixes it in this bowl, she kind of tastes it a bit and and she bends down towards you and says, "May I touch you real fast?"
Yeah.
She licks your face. Hmm.
Okay.
Perfect. She takes the
I
mixture.
kind of like have this whole like life realization that that's what that's like. Like I've never it's never happened before. Like, oh, this is what I do to everybody. Not sure if I like it.
Perfect.
And I
So she can
snap out of it.
sense, yeah, she can sense your unease. But she goes forward and she takes a glob of the paste that she just made, and she sort of tosses it in the cauldron, which makes a big poof. And afterwards, you can see the bubbles are like it's almost as if the cauldron just started to boil all of a sudden, and it starts to overflow a little bit. And as it overflows, it starts to gather in a puddle underneath the cauldron, but then it starts to sort of swim. and it sort of swims right in front of you, and then you can see it sort of move a little bit, and it forms this gooey version of you, and the hair starts to sprout. Your nose starts to form, the glasses pop in. Kidding. The eye patch pops in, and then it takes the coloration of you, and it kind of like looks at you and shakes its head, flappy ears everywhere, and then it sits down, and you can see it wagging its tail. Look, perfect.
Run up to it and do the play bow.
All right, you play bow, and it kind of looks at you, and it play bows back.
And then we do like, I'm gonna do like they do like the dogs do this little spin thing and like try to get the dog to chase them.
Okay, and it goes for it, and it starts chasing you. And Opal's, she claps her hands once and goes, "Oh, it's perfect."
And so I play for a little bit. And it's like, is he gonna last forever?
Unfortunately, no. He'll only last for but a few hours. But with more of your ingredients, I could make more for whenever you want to play, buddy.
Ooh, that sounds really helpful.
Perhaps, yes, perhaps in the
Certain
future.
situations.
Yeah? Perhaps in the future, if you can bring me some special ingredients, I could make something that's more permanent. But
What would
I.
that be?
She strokes her chin and she starts to think back. Well, it is a creature that I have not heard of a living one for quite some time, so it might not be existent anymore. And I can't quite remember its name. She goes to the back of like her little shop area and pulls out a couple books and starts flipping through the pages. No, blast it. No. How about this, little one? Come back to me in a few days when I've had a chance to look over my notes, and I will tell you what you need to find to make this more permanent.
Okay, that sounds great. I will definitely do that. Do you happen to have any like simple healing potions? We used to
I
have
could brew, yes, I could brew you a few. What do you have in exchange for them, though?
What are you interested in? I have gold and a couple cool little trinkets. I don't know if you're
How
into
about
trinkets
this?
or.
When you go and fight those Titanian soldiers in the north at the shrine, take a lock of each of their hair and bring that to me, and then perhaps the fingernail clippings of the most powerful one. Yes. And then bring me a tooth of the weakest one.
Okay. A lock of each soldier's hair, fingernails of the strongest, and a tooth of the weakest.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I can brew you a whole batch of 3.
A 3. Oh wow. What about any like invisibility potions, or am I asking too much? I don't want to. I'm just trying to
If
stock up and
you're...
seem like my best shot of getting cool stuff.
I've been told that before, and thank you for the compliment. I have not dabbled in invisibility in quite some time, but if you find anything that seems like it could possibly be used in a potion, bring it to me and I'll see what I can make out of it. How about that?
Yeah, I'll do that for sure. And then I'm like, oh, I have some of this stuff, and As you can see, I'm wearing this eye patch with a carnelian stone. I have an ivory hairbrush, a dagger with a rat head hilt, human bone knife. I have this leather yellow spell book, and an ornate evil sacrificial dagger.
I forgot about that thing. She kind of
Is
looks
any
at
of
it all and
this-
goes, those are all tainted with evil. I don't much like working with that type of residue.
Understandable. Just making sure.
Well, how about
But
you
yeah,
go and have fun with your little friend while he lasts, and we'll talk in the future.
okay. Sounds good. Bye,
Thank
Opal.
you, Snoopy, and I can't wait to see you.
Likewise.
And then you go outside and you're running around with your mirror image. Eventually, when all of you gather back up to take your official long rest after a long day of, going around and sort of witnessing the world, or this village anyway, you see Snoopy is double and playing like tag with himself.
Huh. Interesting. So, what'd you guys all run into? No, I went to a school and entertained some children.
I got a
went and
friend.
I went and learned some of the trades of how they forge their armor and stuff around here.
Interesting. Must say, the women here are quite charming. Wish we had more time. Wouldn't mind getting to know one of them. And then I give a nudge elbow to Baran.
I can't say that I know what you mean, but you have fun with that.
As he says that, the bottom of the table, something hits it really hard. Kidding. Kidding.
Yes, hopefully at some point in the future I might have a chance to actually sit and have a conversation with one of their women. And of course in my human form, because I mean my more vicious form. But they're quite charming. I like that.
Does Donovan say anything?
I informed the group about something going on in the north, about what I talked to the temple about.
Ah, what interesting. So, what's the plan then after we get a little sleep?
Do you guys think we should go out and see if we can check out this shrine at all?
Maybe we can. But
Brady,
we want to make sure we're well supplied first. All the gold that we have, we might be able to supply on a nice bit of a potion or curatives of some kind.
Did somebody say question?
yeah, it was me. Where did they say where we had to go for this shrine?
He just said talk to the soldiers and they'll show you the way north.
Oh, okay.
Or at
All
least
right.
point you in the direction.
Okay, cool.
Well then. Hey, Snoopy. Who's this little buddy you have with you? Looks
This is Snoopy
exactly
too.
like. Hmm.
It's it's goopy.
Goopy, yes. It's Goopy.
Goopy. Well, Goopy, since you are a spinning image of my friend here, welcome to the party.
Does Goopy